The vast emptiness of space surrounding Earth was disturbed one quiet Tuesday morning. 12 massive ships, each the size of a small city, appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. Their hulls gleamed with an otherworldly metal that seemed to absorb rather than reflect sunlight. Inside the lead vessel, Admiral Nex surveyed the blue planet with cold, calculating eyes. His species had conquered 17 worlds before, and Earth would be the 18th addition to the Galactic Council's growing collection of protected territories. Primitive, he muttered, watching the satellites and space debris that circled the planet. They've barely left their own atmosphere. The Council's assessment suggests they're at least 2 centuries behind our technology. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Drav, added. They still burn fossil fuels for energy. Admiral Nex nodded. Perfect for colonization. Send the diplomatic team to their largest governing body. Inform them of their new status. 4 smaller ships detached from the fleet and descended toward Earth. They landed on the grounds of the United Nations headquarters in New York, causing immediate panic. Military forces surrounded the area within minutes, but held their fire as a ramp extended from the lead ship. 5 beings emerged, tall, slender creatures with silvery skin and eyes that seemed to hold the depth of galaxies. They walked with the confidence of those who had never known defeat. Global broadcasts interrupted regular programming as the aliens approached a hastily assembled group of world leaders. Translator devices on their belts converted their speech to all Earth languages simultaneously. People of Earth, the lead alien, Ambassador Trell, announced, I bring greetings from the Galactic Council. Your planet has been selected for membership in our Federation. We will now begin the process of elevating your species to an appropriate technological level while establishing beneficial resource extraction operations. The UN Secretary-General stepped forward cautiously. We welcome peaceful contact with other civilizations, but we don't understand what you mean by resource extraction operations. Ambassador Trell smiled, revealing teeth like polished apples. Simply put, your planet contains minerals essential to our continued expansion. We will need approximately 60% of your world's resources. In exchange, we offer protection and limited access to our technology. Murmurs spread through the assembled leaders. The American president stood. And if we decline this offer? The aliens exchanged glances, confusion evident on their faces. This question had never been asked before. There is no declining, Ambassador Trell explained patiently, as if speaking to children. The Council has made its decision. Your cooperation will determine how comfortable the transition will be. Resistance would be unfortunate. The Chinese president rose next. You come to our world, demand our resources, and expect us to thank you. Your understanding is not required. Ambassador Trell replied. Only your compliance. The Russian leader laughed bitterly. Humanity has faced many would-be conquerors throughout our history. None have succeeded in taking all of Earth. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Ambassador Trell's face. This was not following the usual script of first contact. Most species reacted with either fearful acceptance or religious awe. Perhaps we have not made ourselves clear, Trell said. The Galactic Council commands technologies you cannot comprehend. Resistance would result in unnecessary suffering. We understand perfectly, the Secretary-General replied. And our answer is no. That evening, as the alien delegation returned to their ships, Admiral Nex received their report with growing anger. They refused. He asked in disbelief. These primitives refused the Council's generous offer. They did. Admiral, Ambassador Trell confirmed. They seem to value their independence more than advancement. Admiral Nex turned to his war council. Prepare the invasion force. We will show these humans the cost of defiance. Little did he know that humanity was already preparing for a fight unlike any the Galactic Council had ever experienced. The first attack came at dawn. Brilliant beams of energy sliced through Earth's atmosphere, targeting military bases across the globe. The skies above every major city filled with smaller alien craft, their engines humming with an otherworldly tone that made dogs howl and electronics malfunction. Admiral Nex watched from his command center as the initial strikes hit their targets. Military installations in North America, Asia, and Europe erupted in flames. He nodded with satisfaction. "Begin Phase 2, he ordered. "Disable their communication networks and power grids. I want this planet dark within the hour." Lieutenant Drav hesitated. "Sir, we're detecting unusual resistance patterns. The humans are adapting their defenses faster than predicted." Nex waved dismissively. "Meaningless. No primitive species has ever withstood a full council invasion. Continue as planned." On Earth, chaos reigned. But amid the destruction, humanity showed its true nature. In military bases around the world, commanders quickly recognized conventional warfare wouldn't work against enemies with energy shields and anti-gravity technology. At the Pentagon, General Thompson stared at rapidly updating casualty reports. "We need to change tactics immediately," he announced to his staff. "Order all forces to abandon large installations. Switch to mobile units. Hit and run only." In China, General Wu reached the same conclusion. "We cannot win in open battle. We must become ghosts." Within hours, Earth's military scattered into smaller groups, taking whatever weapons they could salvage. Civilian communication networks, designed to be redundant, became military command channels as official systems failed. Admiral Nex frowned at the holographic display showing the planet below. The red dots representing human military targets were disappearing from their expected positions. "Where are they going?" he demanded. "Our intelligence indicated they would defend their fixed positions to the last man." "Unknown, sir," Drav replied. "They appear to be dispersing, and they're destroying their own bases rather than letting us capture them." Nex slammed his fist on the console. "Send in the ground forces. Find their leaders and eliminate them." On the Council's troop carrier, Commander Valtek prepared his soldiers for deployment. A decorated veteran of 3 planetary conquests, Valtek had never lost a campaign. "These humans will break like all the others," he assured his troops. "Their weapons are primitive. Their bodies are fragile. Victory will be swift." The first wave of alien soldiers landed in what remained of Washington, D.C. tall and heavily armored. They moved with precision through the ruined streets, weapons ready, but the expected resistance never materialized. The city seemed abandoned, until night fell. In the darkness, small teams of human fighters emerged from sewers and collapsed buildings. They struck with terrifying precision, targeting the aliens' breathing apparatus and communication devices. Before Valtek's forces could respond effectively, the humans vanished back into the ruins. Similar reports came in from Moscow, Beijing, London, and other landing zones. The aliens' superior technology meant little in urban combat, where humans knew every hiding spot and escape route. "This is unexpected," Valtek admitted during his report to Admiral Nex. "The humans fight differently than our intelligence suggested. They refuse to meet us in open battle." "Cowards," Nex spat. "Increase orbital bombardment. Force them into the open." But even as the conversation ended, an explosion rocked Valtek's command post. Somehow, humans had infiltrated their perimeter and planted explosives. As the smoke cleared, Valtek found a message scrawled on a nearby wall. "This is our home. You cannot take what we will die to defend." In a mountain bunker halfway around the world, a group of military leaders from different nations gathered around a makeshift table. General Thompson pointed to a crude map of alien positions. "They're strong, but arrogant," he said. "They expected us to fight conventionally. Our only chance is to never give them the war they prepared for." A Russian colonel nodded in agreement. "We must become the nightmare they never imagined." As night spread across the planet, thousands of small resistance groups began to move. The invasion had begun, but Earth's retaliation was just taking shape. 3 weeks into the invasion, Commander Valtek stared at the bodies of his fallen soldiers. This patrol, like many before it, had vanished while investigating an abandoned human settlement. When rescue teams arrived, they found only corpses and more primitive messages left behind. Earth fights back. "This is the 5th squad we've lost this week," Voltic growled, kicking a piece of alien technology that had been crudely disassembled. "How are these primitives doing this?" His new lieutenant, replacing Drav, who had been killed in an ambush, stepped forward. "Sir, we believe they're using the terrain against us. Our troops struggle with Earth's gravity and atmospheric composition. The humans know the land." In a hidden command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Commander Jackson studied a map showing alien positions. A former Special Forces operator, Jackson had quickly emerged as one of Earth's most effective resistance leaders. "They're still trying to fight a conventional war," she told the assembled officers. "Their tactics haven't evolved. They expect us to eventually face them on an open battlefield." "And we won't," added Colonel Rivera, representing what remained of several South American forces. "My teams have been studying their patrol patterns. They're predictable." Jackson nodded. "Exactly. Plus, their armor may stop bullets, but not the environment." Team 6 managed to lure a whole alien squad into a flood zone yesterday. Their equipment short-circuited. Around the world, humans were adapting with remarkable speed. In Southeast Asia, resistance fighters discovered the aliens couldn't function well in extreme humidity. African units found that desert sand damaged alien breathing filters. In northern regions, extreme cold caused their weapons to malfunction. Most importantly, humans began collecting alien technology from every successful ambush. Scientists working in hidden bunkers started to understand how it functioned. At a secret facility beneath a destroyed university, Dr. Patel held up a small device removed from a dead alien's armor. "It's some kind of universal translator," she explained to Jackson during a secure video call. "We've modified it to intercept their communications. They're getting frustrated." "Good," Jackson replied. "What else have you found?" Dr. Patel smiled. "Their weapons use a crystalline energy core. We can't reproduce it yet, but we can certainly use the ones we've captured." Admiral Nex was no longer smiling as he faced the Galactic Council's holographic representatives. The translucent figures of 7 different alien species regarded him with growing disappointment. "You assured us Earth would be secured within 1 planetary rotation," the Council elder said. "It has been 21 rotations, and your reports indicate increasing losses. These humans are," Nex struggled to explain, "unusually resilient. They refuse to surrender even when their cities are destroyed. They hide, then strike from shadows. The Council does not accept excuses." "Admiral," another representative hissed, "either complete your mission, or we will replace you." As the transmission ended, Nex slammed his fist against the control panel. "Deploy the harvesters," he ordered. "Begin resource extraction immediately. Let's see how these humans fight when their forests are being consumed and their oceans drained." The harvesters were massive machines, each capable of processing square miles of terrain daily. As they descended toward Earth's surface, Voltec's forces prepared for the increased security they would need. What they didn't expect was the massive coordinated attack that came just as the harvesters touched down. Across the globe, resistance forces struck simultaneously. Using captured alien weapons and explosives, human fighters swarmed the lightly defended harvesters. In the confusion, specially trained teams breached the machine's central controls. By dawn, 3 harvesters were completely destroyed, and 2 more had been captured intact. In her underground command center, Jackson watched the reports come in. "Send teams to secure those captured harvesters," she ordered, "and get our best engineers inside them immediately. It's time we turned their technology against them." For the first time since the invasion began, a feeling spread through human resistance forces worldwide. It wasn't quite hope yet, but it was something close. The invaders could bleed. They could fail. And most importantly, they could be beaten. Dr. Marcus wiped sweat from his forehead as he stared at lines of code streaming across his screen. For 60 straight hours, he had been working with a team of the world's best programmers in a bunker deep beneath the ruins of Alexandria, Egypt. The ancient city above had been reduced to rubble, but below ground, humanity's greatest minds worked on what might be their last hope. "I think we've got it," he said, his voice hoarse from exhaustion. "The alien systems use quantum encryption, but there's a pattern in their authentication protocols." The team gathered around his workstation. They were a mix of former tech company employees, government cybersecurity experts, and even a few reformed hackers. Together, they had been studying the alien computer systems recovered from downed ships and captured harvesters. "Show us," Dr. Lee urged, her eyes red from lack of sleep. Marcus pulled up a visualization of the alien code structure. "See this sequence. It repeats every 17 microseconds. That's our way in." What they called the Alexandria Protocol wasn't just a simple computer virus. It was an elegant digital weapon designed to infiltrate the aliens' quantum networks, establish backdoor access, and gradually take control of their systems without being detected. "How do we deploy it?" asked Rodriguez, a former military intelligence officer. "That's the hard part," Marcus admitted. "It needs to be uploaded directly to one of their command ships. From there, it will spread through their network." In her command center, Commander Jackson reviewed the plan with growing concern. "You want to send a team to space, to the heart of their fleet." "It's the only way," Marcus explained over the secure video link. "We have 2 captured shuttles from the harvesters. We've figured out how to operate them. A small team can approach under the guise of returning from a surface mission." Jackson frowned. "It's a suicide mission." "Possibly," Marcus conceded. "But if it works, we cripple their entire command structure. Every ship, every ground force, even their communications back to the Galactic Council." 3 days later, a small alien shuttle lifted off from a hidden base in the Sahara Desert. Inside were Dr. Marcus, Rodriguez, and 3 former astronauts who had quickly learned to pilot the alien craft. Each carried a small device containing the Alexandria Protocol. "Approach vector looks good," whispered Lisa Chen, the pilot. "Their defense grid identifies us as friendly." The shuttle glided toward the massive command ship where Admiral Nex directed the invasion. As they neared the docking bay, a communication came through. "Shuttle TR-7, you are not on the return schedule. Identify your mission." Rodriguez, who had studied the aliens' communication patterns, replied using their formal syntax. "Resource survey complete. Urgent findings for command review." A pause. Then, "Proceed to docking bay 3. As the shuttle landed, the team prepared for the most dangerous part of their mission. They would need to reach the central computer core without being detected. "Remember," Marcus whispered as they moved through the ship's corridors, "we just need 5 minutes at a terminal connected to the main system." They had memorized the ship's layout from data gathered by the Resistance. Taking service corridors and maintenance shafts, they avoided most of the crew. When they encountered 2 alien technicians, Rodriguez and Chen, took them down silently using techniques developed specifically to overcome the aliens' physiological advantages. Finally, they reached a secondary control room. While Rodriguez and the others stood guard, Marcus connected his device to the alien interface. "Initiating upload," he whispered. 3 minutes to complete." That's when the alarms began. On the bridge, Admiral Nex received an alert. "Intruders in Section 7. How did they get aboard?" "Unknown, sir," his security chief replied. "They appear to be humans." "Impossible." Nex roared. "Seal all sections and capture them." The team heard the approaching guards. "We need more time," Marcus said, watching the upload progress. "You'll get it," Rodriguez replied, readying a captured alien weapon. "Chen with me. We'll hold them off." The firefight was brief but intense. Rodriguez and Chen fell, but they bought the precious minutes needed. When the aliens finally breached the room, Marcus smiled as he pressed the final command. "Upload complete," he said, before a burst of energy ended his life. Admiral Nex was about to order a full security sweep when something strange happened. His displays flickered. Communication systems stuttered. Across the fleet, the same pattern repeated as the Alexandria Protocol spread silently through their network. "What's happening?" Nex demanded. No one could answer. The invasion force of the mighty Galactic Council had just been infected, and Earth's counterattack was about to begin. Admiral Nex paced the bridge of his command ship, rage building with each new failure report. The Alexandria Protocol had spread through his fleet like a digital plague. Weapons systems misfired. Navigation computers plotted impossible courses. Communication between ships became garbled or simply disappeared. How could primitives do this? He snarled at his technical team. "Fix it immediately." "We're trying." "Admiral," the chief engineer replied, his hands shaking. "But the infiltration is unlike anything we've seen. It adapts faster than we can isolate it." Nex stopped pacing and stared at the blue planet below. His career was ending. His reputation would be destroyed. The Council would never forgive this humiliation. Unless... "Prepare the cleansing array," he ordered suddenly. His second-in-command stepped back in shock. "Sir, the cleansing array is only authorized for uninhabited worlds. The Council specifically forbade." "The Council isn't here," Nex roared. "I will not be defeated by primitives. Prepare the array. We will scorch their world's surface and report that they forced our hand." Across the fleet, massive orbital cannons began to power up. The cleansing array was designed to strip a planet's surface down to bedrock, preparing it for complete terraforming. No life could survive its deployment. Deep in an underground monitoring station, a former satellite engineer named Torres detected the energy spike in orbit. "Commander Jackson," she called over the secure line, "the alien fleet is powering up something massive. The energy readings are off the charts." Jackson immediately contacted resistance cells worldwide. "All teams, priority alert. The aliens are preparing some kind of superweapon in orbit. Does anyone have intel on this capability?" A response came quickly from a team in Japan who had captured an alien database. "Confirmed. They're activating what they call a cleansing array. It's a planetary bombardment system. If fired, it will destroy all life on the surface." "How long do we have?" Jackson demanded. "The energy buildup suggests 3 hours until full charge." Jackson closed her eyes briefly. 3 hours to save Earth. "Get me Dr. Patel, and what's left of the Alexandria team," she ordered. "And contact Major Wilson. We need his pilots." Major Wilson had been a space shuttle commander before the invasion. Now he led a desperate team of former astronauts and test pilots who had been learning to fly the captured alien shuttles. "You want us to attack their orbital platform?" he asked during the emergency briefing. "With what?" "The shuttles have no weapons." "We've modified 2 Harvester shuttles with explosive payloads," Jackson explained. "Dr. Patel's team has also created a localized version of the Alexandria Protocol on physical drives. If you can dock with the main weapon control ship, you can upload it directly and disable the array." "It's a one-way trip," Wilson said quietly. Jackson nodded. "I know what I'm asking." Wilson straightened his shoulders. "We'll need a diversion." "You'll have it," Jackson promised. "Every resistance cell on Earth is going to hit them simultaneously." As the cleansing array charged, humanity launched its most coordinated attack yet. Ground forces using captured alien weapons targeted landing parties. Hacked communication systems broadcast false orders to alien units. And in the chaos, 2 modified shuttles slipped away from Earth's surface. Approaching target, Wilson reported as his shuttle neared the massive weapon platform. Heavy defense systems active. On Earth, Jackson could only listen and wait. Status of the second shuttle. "Taking heavy fire," came the response. "But still on course." Admiral Nex watched in disbelief as alarms blared across his command deck. "Humans are attacking everywhere at once. How is this possible?" "Sir," his sensor operator called out. "Two shuttles approaching the array control ship." "Destroy them," Nex ordered. The first shuttle exploded under concentrated fire, but it had served its purpose, drawing attention from Wilson's approach. His shuttle, damaged but intact, crashed into the docking bay of the control ship. Wilson and his 3 remaining crew members fought their way through the corridors, the specialized explosives and protocol drives secure in their packs. 2 fell before they reached the central control chamber. 30 minutes to full charge, an automated voice announced as Wilson placed the explosives. "Not today," he muttered, activating the first detonator. The explosion rocked the ship, damaging key power conduits. As alarms blared, Wilson connected the protocol drive to the main system. "For Earth," he whispered as he initiated the upload. The cleansing array's charge sequence faltered, then failed completely. Throughout the fleet, systems went dark as the targeted version of the Alexandria Protocol executed its commands. From the ground, people watched as brilliant flashes lit up the night sky. Several alien ships, their systems critically compromised, began to fall from orbit. In her command center, Commander Jackson received the confirmation. "The array is disabled," she announced. Wilson did it. For the first time in months, cheers erupted across the resistance network. Earth would live to fight another day. Commander Jackson stood in the captured alien hangar, surrounded by 7 sleek spacecraft. Once belonging to the Galactic Council, they now bore hastily painted Earth insignia. 3 months after the failed orbital strike, humanity had moved from desperate defense to something that had seemed impossible before, preparing to take the fight to the stars. "Are you sure about this?" Dr. Patil asked, looking up from her tablet. "We've only just learned to pilot these ships properly." Jackson nodded firmly. "The Alexandria Protocol has crippled their fleet, but it won't last forever. Their engineers are already finding ways to counter it. We need to strike now, while they're still vulnerable." The plan was bold to the point of madness. With Admiral Nex's command structure in disarray, Earth forces would use captured ships to attack key Council outposts in the solar system. Their primary target, the massive supply base the aliens had established on Mars. "The pilots are ready," reported Colonel Rivera, now Jackson's second-in-command. "They've completed the simulator training. It's not perfect, but it's the best we can do with the time we have." "And the weapons systems?" Jackson asked. "Operational. We've figured out how to use most of them, though some of the more advanced options still elude us." Dr. Patel held up a small device. "This is our secret weapon. An improved version of the Alexandria Protocol that can spread through physical contact with any Council technology. One upload to their main systems on Mars, and their entire supply chain will collapse." 3 days later, the Earth fleet departed. Each ship carried a mix of pilots, soldiers, and technical specialists. Jackson commanded the lead vessel, with Dr. Patel beside her to manage the technological aspects of the mission. "Exit from Earth atmosphere complete," the navigation officer reported. "Course to Mars locked in. Estimated arrival in 30 hours. On what remained of his command ship, Admiral Nex received the report with disbelief. "Humans? Flying our ships? Impossible." "The sensor data is clear, sir," his officer insisted. 7 Council vessels have left Earth orbit, heading toward Mars base. Nex slammed his fist down. "Send a warning to Mars immediately, and prepare what ships we have left. We will intercept them." But the warning never arrived. The Alexandria Protocol had thoroughly infected his communication systems, and the message was lost in digital noise. The Earth fleet approached Mars without detection, using the very stealth technology designed by the Council. As they neared the red planet, they could see the sprawling alien base. Huge domes covered parts of the surface, while mining operations tore into the planet's crust. "They've been busy," Jackson observed. "This isn't just a supply base. They're stripping Mars bare." "Incoming transmission," the communications officer announced. "They're requesting identification." Jackson nodded to Dr. Patel, who activated a program they developed using captured alien communication protocols, sending false credentials now. Minutes later, they received clearance to land. The trap was set. As the Earth ships touched down in the main hangar, Council workers approached to begin routine maintenance. They never expected the hangar doors to slam shut behind them, or for armed humans to emerge from the vessels. "Move quickly," Jackson ordered her teams. "We have 30 minutes before they realize something's wrong." The human forces split into 3 groups. One secured the hangar and the captured maintenance workers. The second, led by Rivera, headed for the command center. The third, smaller team, with Jackson and Patel, made their way to the central computer core. "This is even bigger than we thought," Rivera reported over the comlink. Their star maps showed dozens of mining operations throughout the solar system. They were planning to strip every planet and moon. In the computer core, Dr. Patel worked quickly to upload the enhanced protocol. "Almost there," she whispered as her fingers flew over the alien interface. An alarm suddenly blared through the facility. "They've discovered us," Jackson warned. "Hurry." "Done," Patel announced as the upload completed. Throughout the base, lights flickered as the protocol spread. The fighting was brief but intense. The Council forces, caught completely by surprise, were overwhelmed by the determined human attackers. Within 2 hours, the Mars base was under Earth control. Standing in the captured command center, Jackson opened a channel to all Earth forces. "Mars is secure. The supply chain is broken. For the first time since this war began, we have the upper hand." News of the Mars victory spread throughout human resistance cells on Earth. The impossible had happened. Humanity had not only survived the alien onslaught, they had turned the tide. The Grand Council chamber fell silent as the unthinkable happened. 5 human representatives walked boldly across the polished floor, their footsteps echoing in the cavernous space. The chamber, located on a massive space station at the heart of Council territory, had never before seen representatives of a species that had resisted Council rule. The 7 Supreme Councilors, each from a different founding species, watched with a mixture of shock, anger, and grudging respect. Behind them sat hundreds of representatives from worlds across the galaxy, all murmuring at this unprecedented development. Commander Jackson led the human delegation, flanked by Dr. Patel, Colonel Rivera, and 2 other resistance leaders from different continents. They stopped at the center of the chamber, directly beneath the shimmering holographic display of the galaxy. "You were not invited to this emergency session," the elder counselor said, his voice amplified throughout the chamber. "Your presence here is a violation of Council law." Jackson's face remained impassive. "We invited ourselves, just as you invited yourselves to our world." Angry shouts erupted from various sections of the chamber. The elder raised a hand for silence. "Your species has caused unprecedented damage to Council operations," he stated. "You have stolen our technology, corrupted our systems, and occupied Council facilities. These are acts of war." "No," Jackson replied firmly. "These are acts of self-defense. Your forces invaded Earth without provocation. You attempted to strip our world of resources and subjugate our people. Everything we did was in response to your aggression." Admiral Nex rose from his seat among the military leadership. His once pristine uniform now bore the marks of demotion. "These humans are savages. They refused the Council's generous protection. We reviewed the initial contact recordings," Dr. Patel interrupted, activating a small device that projected the first meeting between the Council delegation and Earth's leaders. "Your generous protection was colonial exploitation disguised as benevolence." The recording played, showing the Council's threats and dismissal of human concerns. Many representatives from younger Council species shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "What do you want?" the elder counselor asked, his tone suggesting he already knew the answer. Jackson stepped forward. "Recognition of Earth's sovereignty. Immediate withdrawal of all Council forces from our solar system. reparations for the damage caused by your invasion. Laughter erupted from several sections of the chamber. A military commander stood. You dare to make demands. Your temporary victories were lucky accidents. The Council controls 1,000 worlds. We could crush your planet with our full might. Colonel Rivera activated another device. Instantly, the chamber's lights flickered. The holographic display wavered, then changed to show the Alexandria Protocol's code structure. Could you? Rivera asked calmly. This modified version of our protocol now exists in every Council system. It's dormant, but ready. One signal from Earth, and your entire infrastructure collapses. Panic spread through the chamber. The elder counselor's eyes widened in genuine fear for the first time in centuries. You're bluffing, Admiral Nex shouted. Dr. Paddle smiled slightly. We captured your Mars base with 7 ships and less than 100 soldiers. We infiltrated this supposedly impenetrable Council station to attend this meeting uninvited. Do you really want to test our capabilities further? A tense silence fell over the chamber. Finally, a counselor from one of the younger species stood. Perhaps, she said carefully, we have misunderstood humanity's place in the galactic order. Any species that can resist a full Council invasion deserves respect, not subjugation. Over the next several hours, heated debates raged across the chamber. Some Council factions demanded Earth's immediate destruction, regardless of consequences. Others, impressed by human ingenuity and determination, argued for peaceful resolution. In the end, pragmatism prevailed. The Council could not risk the Alexandria Protocol's activation across their systems. The vote was narrow, but decisive. The elder counselor rose solemnly. The Galactic Council recognizes Earth as a sovereign world, exempt from resource tribute. All Council forces will withdraw from Earth's solar system within 30 standard days. Jackson nodded, but didn't smile. And the reparations. More debate followed, but eventually terms were agreed upon. Earth would receive technological assistance to repair the damage caused by the invasion, along with limited access to Council scientific knowledge. As the human delegation prepared to depart, the younger counselor approached Jackson privately. You have changed everything, she said quietly. For centuries, the Council has expanded unchallenged. Your resistance has inspired questions among many worlds. Jackson looked across the chamber, where representatives from dozens of species watched them with new interest. Perhaps, Jackson replied, the galaxy was ready for a change. On Earth, people gathered around screens to watch the treaty signing. After months of desperate fighting and terrible losses, humanity had not just survived. They had earned their place among the stars. The invasion that was meant to conquer them had instead revealed their greatest strength, the fierce, unyielding determination to remain free. Above, the stars no longer represented distant mysteries, but a frontier of new possibilities. Earth's retaliation had stunned the Galactic Council, and the universe would never be the same.